All right, thanks everybody for coming. We're going to start off today with our first webinar in a series. Jonathan from UltraCart is going to kick it off and say a few words, and then we're going to get going.
Thanks everyone for your time today. We appreciate you attending. This is going to be a series of webinars presented by a consulting partner of ours, Scalelean, who is a trusted partner that does excellent work and want to take the time to share educational content on a variety of topics. And we will be here to assist with Q&A and help answer questions towards the end. But at this point, I will turn it over to the CEO of Scalelean, Chris Guill, and let him take it from here.
Thanks, Jonathan. So the goal of these is we're going to try to do these monthly, and our goal is to highlight one feature of UltraCart each webinar rather than try to cover too broad of a thing. We expect this to be about 20 to 25 minutes, and then we'll open it for Q&A, and that can take as long as we like. And like Jonathan said, I appreciate everybody for joining us. A little bit about Scalelean. We're a full-service agency. We specialize in UltraCart. Our team has over 17 linear years of experience in UltraCart. We run our own sites, many of them, and we started Scalelean specifically as a full-service agency to extend the team of UltraCart merchants. We do UltraCart migrations. We just finished a very large project moving a large store off another platform into UltraCart. We've done several of those jobs. We can also do site and tracking. We specialize in data warehouse and reporting. We're really heavy on tracking and attribution. We have an ad buying team specializing in Google Ads specifically, and we can do pretty much everything there is in UltraCart we'd like to do. Our goal, like I said, is to extend your back office team and not lock you in. We work closely with UltraCart themselves, the pro services, as well as other UltraCart agencies. And the thing we love about UltraCart is whatever we build or someone else builds, anyone else can pick up and run with. So we just figured we'd start with multi-step versus single-page checkouts, which I think is something everybody is pretty well settled. Unless you have a store with really complicated checkout options, which some do, or you have an audience that requires a specialized amount of steps to go through to select what product they're looking for, or you have complicated gifting and ship wrapping options. Sometimes the older the audience, we find that in almost every case and every test we've run, for the most part, single-page checkouts work. And they test better, and they usually lead to a little higher conversion rate optimization, which is so critical. There's a question whether you have a slide out cart or you go straight to the checkout. We've tested both. Different sites and different audiences perform differently against that. So we thought we'd start with just highlighting current UltraCart checkouts, which we think are really good. Elements is one of the most common, oldest themes, and it has a nice slide out checkout and goes to a single page checkout that's pretty unstyled, but it's designed to be the base of a good store. This is what we started with for a lot of our development, and we'll come to that a little bit later. Another cart that's pretty common is the Poppy theme, which is the newest theme in UltraCart. And its theme what's nice about it's got a really clean cart pop out and goes to a very familiar looking checkout that most people have seen on the store for another platform which shall not be named. This is a great checkout, and we've used this with some of our clients that want to mirror the checkout that people are most common with. We've tested, we think it can be beat in terms of performance, and it's not as customizable in some ways as other checkouts, but it's something that can be installed. And that's the nice thing about UltraCart is that, especially if you're in the visual builder, anything can be modular to any site, any theme can be used anywhere else. So at Scalelean, we've spent a lot of time perfecting, but really working on our checkout. And what we've come up with is what we call the Scalelean enhanced checkout. And what we like about the Scalelean enhanced checkout is we focus it on being compact, but displaying all the information in a way that people can really see what's in their cart, and allows for a lot of customization in terms of upsells, cross-sells, and other sorts of things. One of the things we really like is some of these new features we've been working with is a in-place upgrade. So we've got it where if someone has a 1-month supply of one of the products, they get an automatic upgrade that when clicked, simply replaces the current one they have. We find express checkout options. Every time we've tested express checkout options, it's had a 1 to 3% increase in conversion rate. The more checkout options, the better. We always hide the coupon code by default on our most checkouts. Some clients that's not the best way. We like the addition of being able to have add-ons in a clean way, and then cross sells. One of the things we've done recently is added social proof to the checkout, which has tested out really well. UltraCart lets us. We've recently tested this with a in place where the actual social proof is actually the exact products that are in the cart that you see. So rather than generic store-wide reviews, it's actually a review for the product. As long as you're using the UltraCart review system, it's a review for the product that you're seeing. And the initial tests on this is exciting. And we think it's something that's extended to a lot of our clients. I think we're going to be adding that to a lot of our clients' stores here soon. One other thing is always about mobile first. And something that a lot of stores do is pre-collapse the summary into a bar on the top. We've tested this in a couple of different clients, and for the most part, it's almost always been better having it pre-opened. I think customers like to see what's available and see what can be done. But again, it's always, we think, worth testing, because depending on the checkout velocity that you want, if you really have a lower price ticket offer, then you're not going to be doing a lot of cross sells. It's a good way to help people pull through the process a little bit faster and pull things above the fold on mobile. And it's worth testing. And we like it a lot. Some of the things that have really worked well for us is always making sure that the email address is the first thing that comes up within the checkout and is prominent and really gets people pulled into doing. Because with UltraCart, you can set to pre-capture that email and send it into the abandoned cart flows. And that really helps conversion rates. The other thing is with UltraCart's login system, which we're going to cover in a future webinar, we're going to be talking about the backend portal and customizations we've done there. Having a good way for customers to log in right here has, on this site, added about 1.5 to 2% conversion rate bump for existing customers coming back, especially when paired with auto login and magic login links from UltraCart email system. So customers come right back in, all their payment information is there, and it's a really fast checkout. One thing to cover with express checkouts is that except for PayPal itself, none of the express checkout options allow for the UltraCart post-checkout email upgrade system, upsell system to work. However, with PayPal, it does now, which has been huge for Clinical Effects and along with some of our other clients. And so that's always something to balance. If upsells is a really critical part of the business, it may not be worth adding some of the other express payment options. In our testing, the increase in conversion rate has offset that in almost every case. And we've brought some of that back is by adding some of the in-checkout upsells I showed earlier as a way to balance that when express payment options are used heavily. Some of the stuff for increasing average order value is some of the cross sells and upsells in cart bumps. But we've also done some really interesting stuff with cross sell bumps on, one second here. This is one of our clients. Free shipping is a huge deal for their customers. So we've got a dynamic progress bar for free shipping that's done very, very well. And it's dramatically increasing their average order value. There's some other additional gamification stuff I'll show shortly, but adding this prominently around the site. If the entire site is hosted in Visual Builder, this sort of element can be put everywhere within the slide out cart, within the site itself, and really helps focus people on that free shipping thresholds. And in sites where you have lots of small priced items, this can make a really big difference. Something we really like. When we talk about gamification, this is something we're currently developing for 2 different clients. And this is just sort of a development test page that we have up. What this lets you do is as you add additional items to the cart, as you add additional items, a additional free gifts thresholds pop up, and you can add, free shipping as a threshold, additional gifts, additional options. The only limitation of this is the way UltraCart's configured. You can only really have one of these sorts of options per UltraCart instance. So you have to be able to it's going to have something that works store-wide. It's not product specific. But in early testing, we think it's pretty exciting. And particularly if you've got a store where that you really want to push people to that higher threshold of stuff, and there's free gifts and bundles they might really be interested in, this works incredibly well. This can be placed, again, if you're in the visual builder, anywhere within the store, including the checkout, the pop-out slide, anything you like. We think this is pretty exciting and is a feature that more and more merchants we're starting to see. One of the people out there on the web we've watched do a lot of this is AOV, who's not an UltraCart merchant. And I know that they've struggled technically to get it work properly within Shopify. UltraCart makes it very, very easy, and it's very, very, very effective. Another thing that makes UltraCart interesting is that you can you can have multiple instances of the checkout. And I think this is pretty unique to UltraCart as a platform. While there's landing page builders that do this, they don't have the back end that UltraCart has. So something that we do for a lot of landing page work is, this is a 4th of July offer we worked on. We combine the landing page with a call to action that's dynamic and have the checkout right there on place. And this works great for offers where you don't want the customer then to go shop through the rest of the site. You want to focus them down a very special offer, special bundle offer, special promotion. It really locks customers in. When we actually run these, we get rid of the entire top bar options. So we just focus people on, here's the options, here's what this does. And this does really, really, really well with email promotions and sales, and something we are increasingly using. I'm moving faster here than I thought I would. One of the things that we've seen a lot of lately, and I'm sure all of you are tracking this, is the frivolous lawsuits that all of us get hit with in the e-commerce space. For a long time, it was all about the ADA lawsuits. Those have died down to some extent from what we understand, but the big new ones, particularly out of California, are all around subscription and terms and conditions adherence. We're not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Seek your own legal advice. A future webinar we're looking to plan is actually with an attorney that specializes in this. But one thing we've learned is the very best practice is that the key things to keep yourself safe is that above the checkout, above the final button to buy now, you should have a blue link. Can't just be a gray underlined link. A blue link to your terms and conditions and privacy policy. You should have that text be the same or similar size to the rest of your checkout so that it's not faded out. In the event that you're offering subscriptions, you should have the subscription details right there in place. And if you really want to be safe, you have a positive checkbox. One of the clients we've worked with this closely is a new site called Transcend Botanicals that has done this really, really, really well. For Transcend, when you do a single purchase, their terms and conditions are placed just like that. There's no positive checkbox because in the event it's not a subscription, they didn't want to take that chance. So the privacy policy, terms and sales, all those things are there. The return policy, visible right there. We found also in terms of return policies, the more visible return policy is and the more times it's talked about, the higher the conversion rate. And that's something we've added lots of trust bars and tested those sorts of things. Now, in the event that you have a subscription added to the cart, the actual subscription terms come through. We actually bring these in by SKUs so that if there's, depending on the type of subscription, this changes. It requires a positive agreed terms. And from everything we've read and what we understand, this is the safest way to keep yourself safe from the frivolous California lawsuits regarding subscriptions, which are increasing. There's a number of very, very big sites that have been hit with this. I think HIMS recently got a very large class action settlement, just did a very large class action settlement regarding this. And interestingly enough, when we've tested this, there's almost no drop in conversion rate. In fact, it seems to have actually almost indicates a higher conversion rate because people understand exactly what they're getting. We don't think agreed to terms is critical for non-subscription personally, but for subscription, we think this is the best practice. You could also wrap these in a geotag for just California. That's something that some merchants have done. What we've been advised with is that the way these laws are rolling out, it's almost better practice just to roll it out site-wide. So this has been really interesting, and that's a great way to do it without doing it. And it's something that only UltraCart allows, is that I think there's no other platform that allows you to customize checkouts using a visual builder that fully operate and can look any way your site looks. You can match your branding, can be anything you want it to be. And that's why we think UltraCart's the best platform there is for checkouts. To wrap up, what we love about UltraCart is it makes testing easy. It's really easy to try out different things, try it out for different segments, try it out for different promotions. And we love testing these sorts of things. And I don't know any other platform that allows you to actually run A/B tests on the checkout itself. That's just not possible in something like Shopify. It's certainly insane to do in something that's been custom coded. And the Visual Builder makes all of it possible by working within the Visual Builder, particularly for checkout, for the entire site. For example, things like on-page checkout can only be done when the entire site's hosted within the Visual Builder. It lets a developer like us at Scalelean work on something, build something, and it's supportable. It's easy to hand back to your team to continue working on, and everything's standard. There's no custom code that's sitting in there that's unique to us. It's very, very easy to pass things around, and they operate. And it's incredibly how efficient it is, and it's something we really have enjoyed doing. Before we open it up for Q&A, we have a poll that we wanted to kind of quickly run around future webinars. And also, I would love if you put in the chats any comments about this one, as it's our first one. We've tried to keep this efficient and try to make it as easy to do. Tyler, can you run the post? So far, Q&A, good. Thank you. So we have a couple more choices. There's tracking, data warehouse, and reporting. We're excited about where that's going. The UltraCart data warehouse integration with BigQuery is something that's really, really taken off. And if you haven't seen it, it's unbelievable how much data exists in there, what you can do from a reporting and warehouse side. I had actually a few more things in this poll. I must not have saved it when I did it. That's okay. Jonathan, do you want to have anything you wanted to add to that?
I think that's a pretty good list. I think everybody likes their big data. I think that's what you're going to see. So
yeah, it's been most of the recent work we've been doing is in the big data side, and UltraCart is so far ahead of anything else we think in terms of it, and what you can build for such a tiny investment in infrastructure cost is pretty impressive. Perfect. Jonathan, is there anything you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good. I think to put it in context, the series that you're going to be sharing with them is really about talking about the technologies that Scalelean can assist with that help address the entire funnel process of sales. And we all know that it's going to start with spending marketing dollars and tracking those marketing dollars, and that's where the big data and the reporting and gathering all that information, getting into a site, optimizing the checkout and the conversion, talking about the operations side of their account. And so I think this series will assist people in learning about a large amount of the platform they may not be aware of and helping to optimize their entire operation. And I appreciate you taking the time to share your experiences and some of the work you've been doing. Let's see here. We will go to a question here, and the question comes from Ryan. Says, if a specific product requires a P95 warning message to show for California-based customers, how could that be done in the Visual Builder? And that can be done and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, your team knows a lot more. There is a checkout, it's either the checkout condition can geolocate to California, or I believe the if statement also has the ability to geolocate to the specific state.
Yeah.
So there's at least 2 ways within the Visual Builder to do that location-based conditional.
Absolutely.
And it will geolocate based on IP address information to start with, but if they change their address to California, then those elements are going to re-render. So if I'm on vacation in Oregon, but then I start shipping an order to California, once I indicate I'm in California, it should go ahead and redraw that part of the page. Okay.
Yeah, and Jonathan, I just want to chime in here, and I think we can follow up. We'll follow up with a few articles for these specific QA questions for these Visual Builder elements like geolocation and A/B testing. And Chris, you'd also mentioned the magic link feature and the abandoned cart flow. All of those things, we will follow up with some articles that have examples of setting these up. And if you want to follow up with Chris or UltraCart in helping with that, but we'll outline the general functionality and how to set these features up that Chris discussed throughout the webinar.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, and we have another question here. We are A/B testing UC cart pages, but we are splitting 2 storefronts. How can we A/B test in 1 storefront? So within the experiments engine, there's going to be 3 types of experiments that can be run. The first one is just a content block within the Visual Builder. Maybe you're testing a call to action on a product page, for example, or you want to test the testimonials, like Chris showed you a testimonial on the checkout versus not having a testimonial. So you can test any particular block within the Visual Builder. So that's one type of test. The second type of test is a theme level test. So for example, if you were doing, hey, I want to test out my existing elements theme checkout versus something radically different like the Poppy or Lifty theme checkout. So that's a theme level test. And then the final test type is a URL test. And what the URL test is, you basically say, here's my 2 or more URLs, and I want to have a router link. We'll give you a router link. You point the traffic at the router link, it will route the traffic to one of the variants within the experiment and then track that data. So if you're doing two entirely separate storefronts, it would probably be the router link scenario. If you want to follow up with our support team with the exact details of which 2 or more you're testing, we can validate that test scenario and see if there's any gotchas that we would want to point out on that. But the nice thing is our traffic tracking engine can see across multiple sites and domains. And so a lot of when we get into conversion tracking, we'll expand upon that in that webinar, but being able to track that customer across those multiple domains in the UC analytics engine that drives that experiment is a big deal. So,
yeah.
Okay.
One thing we've done when we were building the scaling one is you can wrap the entire experiment, the entire checkout in an experiment and rotate 2 completely different versions of the checkout. And it works. It's incredible that it works, but it does. And so that's another way to do it. But and which Jonathan mentioned, single block. So that single block could contain the entire checkout if you wanted it to.
Next question, any suggestion for a brand with a high percentage of gift offers that offers express checkout, but sees a number of customers who forget or don't understand how to change a shipping address in their express checkout? Is there a point at which it makes sense to remove express checkout for a brand with as high as 50% gift orders? That's a good one, because think about it, you're in your PayPal or you're in your Apple Pay or Google Pay. They all do support that additional shipping address, but people are you can click, for example, Apple Pay, and the dialogue is going to pop up, and you right click twice on your phone and you're done.
Mhm.
And some people, they get in a hurry with that.
Jonathan, that is also where the visual builder checkout provides a lot of options. And if being able to customize that checkout, it could also be kind of a mid-tier option to
Mhm.
include a blurb right there with the express checkout to let the user know if it's a guest order, make sure and include the appropriate shipping address as well.
I just thought of the simplest solution would probably be to move the gift aspect of your checkout higher in the
That's right.
process, and then do a checkout condition around those express checkout methods. And you could either hide them entirely, that's an option, or when the gift selection is made, you might want to put a nice instructional paragraph that you've indicated this is a gift order. When you're choosing to pay with PayPal, Apple Pay, or Google Play, please pay close attention to specifying your gift recipient's address in the payment.
Yeah. That might be a good candidate to break the checkout into two. So in the cart section, you could really add that gift element, and then in the second step, carry that forward and do a lot of that conditional elements. And that's, or on a single page, like you said, as you step through it and you unhide and hide sections, you could make that very conditional. I think there's a lot there. And also there's more functionality around the UltraCart billing and shipping addresses will now default override the express payment options. Is that correct for shipping and billing?
Yeah, I believe like if you take away the express option up top and they end up going down through the checkout payment method element, where they're picking it, then in those scenarios, the address they've already entered will be pushed over to the payment provider. That being said, you have slowed down the process of the checkout if you're removing that from. That's where that instructional content, if you know that they're doing a guest checkout, may be worth exploring. And that's the nice thing about the Visual Builder checkout is everyone's business is unique. Everyone has a different customer demographic and a different set of needs. And that's where the Visual Builder checkout allows you to modify that layout to kind of fine tune it to your individual business. And, one important thing when you're modifying your checkout, and we'll get into that in another webinar, is test, test, test. You are not your target demo. Your target demo is different than you. And by testing, you will testing instead of guessing, you will be able to make decisions that are provably better for your business. And once you have a good business going, the path to a great business is through incremental testing. It's a few percent here increase, a few percent there, and we'll talk about that further in another webinar. But there's definitely a lot of customization that can be done. That may be a project that they want to reach out to you on, and just discuss further.
Always.
Yeah, but there's definitely a lot of possibilities there. So, I mean, one other question that we have here is if we have a perishable product that we're shipping, but we also want to allow for local pickups at our bakery, is that a possibility? And I think you can speak to that one, Chris, with some of the projects you've done with Paraship and
we've been working very closely with Paraship, who if you're not using them already in the perishable world, you should definitely talk to. Their rates are unbelievable for perishable products, and that's a challenge we've done with a couple of bakeries we've worked with, and we've got a solution where UltraCart did build a local pickup option and split through that thing, so it's entirely doable. And it's just a matter of sitting down and thinking through to make sure the pieces work. Where it gets challenging is when people want to integrate stuff like Uber in delivery and those sorts of things, that's where the wheels fall off a little bit. But for local pickup and in combined with checkout with perishable shipping, it's completely doable. And that'd be another great webinar in the future, is bring in Periship in. They would do a wonderful job.
Yep, that would definitely be. All right. If you have any other Q&A questions, go ahead and pop those in. Otherwise, we will go ahead and wrap up this webinar. Chris, you guys are recording this, correct? And we'll send out a copy of it.
We are, yep.
So his team will send out a copy of this webinar, and you can go back through it and follow up with them if you have any questions, or you can also reach out on the UltraCart platform, specific questions to our support team, and they'll be glad to assist you. And we will be sending out another invite. Looks like data warehousing and analytics is going to win the day.
Yep.
And so there'll be another one coming out next month. So please look for that particular invite. And I must say, Chris is an amazing data warehouse guy. He won't toot his own horn, as they say, but when he gets in front of his DBT with some SQL, crazy things start happening. So
Thanks, John.
that'll be, I look forward to what you have to share on that one.
That one might be a little longer.
Yeah, you bring some popcorn, because it'll be worth it. You might schedule an hour for that one, because there's a lot of amazing data that him and his team can mine out for you. So
thanks, John.
All right.
Thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate you joining our first one and sitting through our bugs and all the stuff. And everyone have a great day, and reach out to Scalelean here or Jonathan and UltraCart, the UltraCart team, for anything you guys need.